The night sky above Nevada was clear and filled with stars. Dr. Alan Miller rubbed his tired eyes and reached for his third cup of coffee. The clock on the wall of the Deep Space Monitoring Station showed 2:17 a.m., and he was the only one still working. Everyone else had gone home hours ago. Alan liked the quiet night shifts. At 45 years old, with gray streaking his dark hair, he had spent most of his life looking up at the stars. Tonight was just another peaceful night watching the universe. Or so he thought. The computer terminal in front of him beeped suddenly. Alan looked down at the screen, expecting to see normal space noise. Instead, he saw something that made him sit up straight in his chair. "That's not right," he whispered to himself. The signal pattern on his screen didn't match anything in their database. It wasn't a pulsar, wasn't a quasar, wasn't any known natural space phenomenon. The pattern was too regular, too precise. Alan's hands moved quickly over the keyboard as he ran the signal through various filters. With each test, his heart beat faster. This wasn't random space noise. This was a message. He reached for the phone and dialed a number he knew by heart. "Olivia, it's Alan. I need you to come in. Now." Dr. Olivia Carter arrived at the facility 40 minutes later, her blonde hair hastily tied back and her eyes still showing signs of sleep. "This better be good, Alan," she said as she dropped her bag on a nearby chair. "It's almost 3 a.m. Alan pointed at his screen. "Look at this pattern. Tell me what you see." Olivia leaned in, her eyes narrowing as she studied the data. The irritation on her face slowly gave way to surprise, then concern. "This is artificial," she said finally. "Someone made this signal." "Or something," Alan added. For the next week, they worked nearly non-stop. Other scientists joined them as the signal continued to repeat every 12 hours. Linguists were brought in to try to decode what appeared to be an alien language. The breakthrough came on day 9. Dr. Steve Bennett, a cryptographer from the National Security Agency, burst into the main lab with a printout in his hand. "I think we have it," he announced to the room of exhausted scientists. "It's a warning." The room went silent as Steve read the translated message. "Earth designated for conquest by Imperial Fleet. Estimated arrival, 365 standard rotations." No one spoke for several long seconds. Then everyone started talking at once. "This has to be a joke. Who would send this? What does standard rotations mean? Days? Years?" Alan raised his voice above the others. "We need to take this to Director Phillips right away." Director Frank Phillips was a practical man who had spent 30 years in government service. He listened to their explanation with growing skepticism. "An alien invasion warning," he said, shaking his head. "Do you know how this sounds?" "Crazy," Olivia admitted. "But the signal is real. We've confirmed it's coming from somewhere beyond Neptune's orbit. It could be a foreign government playing games," the director suggested. Alan pushed forward a folder of data. No human technology could send a signal from that distance with this clarity. "It's not us, sir." The director frowned, but took the folder. "I'll make some calls, but keep this quiet for now." They tried to keep it quiet, but within days, observatories in Japan, South Africa, and Chile reported detecting the same signal. The news leaked to the media, and soon the whole world knew. The United Nations Security Council called an emergency meeting. World leaders gathered in New York, their faces grim as scientists presented the evidence. Some people panicked. Others claimed it was all a hoax. Religious groups declared it the end times. But as weeks passed and more data confirmed the signal's authenticity, the truth became impossible to deny. Earth was not alone, and we were in danger. In his small apartment near the research facility, Alan sat on his balcony looking up at the night sky. The stars that had once seemed so peaceful now felt like watching eyes. Somewhere out there, something was coming for Earth. His phone rang. It was Olivia. "Alan, you need to come back in. We're picking up something new. Something big just entered our solar system." The warning had been real. And now, humanity had exactly 1 year to prepare for war. The cornfields of Iowa swayed gently in the night breeze. John Baker, a 60-year-old farmer, sat on his porch drinking a cup of tea. His dog Rex suddenly jumped up and began barking at the sky. "What is it, boy?" John asked, looking up. A bright light streaked across the dark sky. It wasn't a shooting star. It was moving too slowly and was much too large. John watched in shock as the object crashed into his backfield with a thunderous boom that shook the ground. Without thinking, John grabbed his flashlight and ran toward the crash site. Rex barked frantically behind him, but didn't follow. The object had carved a deep path through John's corn. At the end of this path was something John could never have imagined. A metal craft about the size of a small car. It wasn't like any airplane he had ever seen. Strange symbols covered its damaged surface, and a faint blue light pulsed from within. John carefully approached the craft. Part of its side had broken open. Inside, he saw movement. 3 hours later, the farm was swarming with military personnel, scientists, and government agents. Dr. Susan Wright, a leading xenobiologist, pushed her way through the crowd. She had been flown in by special military transport after receiving an urgent call. "Where is it?" she asked a soldier who blocked her path. "In the barn, ma'am. But I should warn you, it's not what anyone expected." Susan entered the barn and saw a group of medical staff surrounding a makeshift bed. On it lay a being that was clearly not human. Its skin was pale blue with faint ridges. It had 4 fingers on each hand, and its eyes were large and dark. The alien was badly injured. Blue fluid that Susan assumed was blood seeped from several wounds. "Has it said anything?" she asked the nearest doctor. "Yes," the doctor replied with wonder in his voice. "It speaks English. Not perfectly, but well enough to communicate." Susan approached the bed. The alien's eyes focused on her. "I am Krell," it said in a raspy voice. "Lieutenant, Imperial Fleet." Susan's heart raced. This was confirmation of the warning they had received 3 weeks ago. "Why are you here?" she asked. "Sent warning," Krell said with effort. "Empire will destroy your world. Resource extraction. Standard procedure for Class 3 planets." Over the next few days, Krell's condition worsened. But before his strength failed, he shared crucial information with Susan and the team of scientists and military leaders who had gathered at the farm. The Galactic Empire ruled over 2,000 star systems. Earth had been marked for conquest because of its abundant resources and manageable population. The Empire didn't view humans as equals, just obstacles to be removed. "Why did you warn us?" General Frank Carter asked during one session. "Why betray your empire?" Krell's large eyes blinked slowly. "Empire. Corrupt. Once stood for peace, now only power. My family. Killed for speaking against Emperor." His voice strengthened slightly. "You deserve chance." On the 5th day, Krell knew he was dying. He called for Susan. "Take this," he said, pressing a small metallic cube into her hand. "Technical data. Shields. Communications. Basic weapons. Not enough to win, but enough to fight." Susan held the cube carefully. "Thank you," she whispered. "Your world could be more," Krell said. These were his last words before his eyes closed forever. The alien's body was taken to a secure facility for study. The small craft was moved as well, loaded onto a large truck under the cover of darkness. In a high-security room beneath the Pentagon, scientists examined the cube Krell had given Susan. When they finally accessed its contents, they found detailed technical specifications unlike anything humans had developed. "This would have taken us centuries to discover on our own," Dr. Eric Powell, a physicist, said as he studied the data. General Carter looked at the holographic display of shield technology that hovered above the table. "Can we build it?" he asked. Dr. Powell nodded slowly. "With global cooperation and resources, yes. But we need to start now." In Nevada, Dr. Alan Miller received the call he had been waiting for. The source of the warning had been found. And now, Earth had a fighting chance. The United Nations building in New York had never been so full. Representatives from every country on Earth sat in tense silence as General Richard Howell walked to the podium. At 58, with a strong build and close-cut gray hair, he looked exactly like what he was, a soldier who had seen too many wars. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his deep voice echoing through the hall, "we have less than 11 months before the Imperial fleet arrives. Our time to prepare is short." Screens around the room showed images of Krell's ship and the technical data he had provided. "This alien technology is beyond anything we have," General Howell continued. "But our scientists believe we can adapt it. To do this, we need every nation to work together. We need to share resources, knowledge, and manpower like never before." As he spoke, murmurs spread through the crowd. Old enemies glanced at each other with suspicion. Decades of distrust couldn't be erased in a day, even with an alien threat looming. Senator Peter Hill from the American delegation stood up. "Why should we share this technology with countries that might use it against us after the alien threat is dealt with? America should lead the defense effort alone." Shouting erupted from different corners of the room. The Chinese representative accused America of trying to gain military advantage. The Russian delegate suggested forming a separate alliance. General Howell slammed his fist on the podium. "Enough," he shouted. The room fell silent. "This kind of thinking will get us all killed. The Empire won't attack just one country. They're coming for all of us." As the arguments continued, a woman stood up from the back of the room. Helen Lee, a diplomat known for her work in conflict zones, walked slowly to the front. Though only 40 years old, she commanded respect from people twice her age. "May I speak?" she asked General Howell, who nodded and stepped aside. Helen looked around the room, making eye contact with as many representatives as she could. "My grandmother survived World War II in Korea," she began softly. "She told me how people from different villages would fight over food even as bombs fell around them. Many died not from the bombs, but from their refusal to work together." The room grew quiet as she continued. "The stars don't care about our borders. If we face extinction divided, we face it alone." Her voice grew stronger. "But if we stand together, we might have a chance." For a moment, no one spoke. Then the French representative stood up. "France offers its scientific community and resources to this united effort." One by one, other countries joined. Even Senator Hill, after a long pause, nodded his agreement. Within days, the Earth Defense Initiative was formed with General Howell as its leader. Former military bases were converted into research facilities. Scientists who once competed now worked side by side. In Russia, missile factories began producing components for orbital defense platforms. In Japan, computer experts worked to understand alien communication systems. Across Africa, rare earth mining operations expanded to provide materials for the new technology. Dr. Alan Miller and Dr. Olivia Carter led a team that built the first global early warning system based on Krell's designs. It would detect the Imperial fleet long before they reached Earth. Not everyone supported the effort. Some religious groups called it the end times and refused to help. Others claimed the alien threat was a hoax created to form a world government. But most people understood what was at stake. Children drew pictures of Earth's United Defense Force in schools. Volunteers lined up outside recruitment centers. Former soldiers came out of retirement to train new pilots for space combat. At the main EDI base in Switzerland, General Howell stood at the window watching teams of scientists and engineers from 30 different countries working together on a massive shield generator. Helen Lee joined him, looking tired but determined. "Do you think we can really do this?" she asked. "Build all this technology in less than a year?" General Howell didn't answer immediately. When he did, his voice was firm. "We have no choice but to try." And looking at this, he gestured to the people below. "I think humanity might surprise even the Empire." 6 months had passed since Krell's warning. Inside a massive hangar in New Mexico, Kyle Johnson stood before what looked like a giant metal ring. The 32-year-old engineer had 3 fades and a reputation for breaking rules. His wild red hair and untucked shirt stood out among the uniformed personnel around him. "Everyone ready?" Kyle asked, looking at the team of scientists behind safety glass. They all wore protective gear, but Kyle had only safety goggles pushed up on his forehead. "The shield generator isn't stable yet," warned his assistant. "Maybe we should wait another week for more tests." Kyle shook his head. "We don't have weeks. We have months." He flipped down his goggles and pressed a button on his tablet. The ring began to hum. A faint blue light appeared in its center, growing stronger until it formed a shimmering wall of energy. "It's working," someone shouted. Kyle grinned as readings flooded his screen. "Firing test projectile now," he announced. A robotic arm launched a metal ball at high speed toward the shield. When it hit the blue energy field, the ball stopped completely, then fell to the ground. The room erupted in cheers. For the first time in human history, a working energy shield had been created. It was small and used enormous power, but it was real. 200 miles away, in a different facility, Dr. Carol Martinez watched as her team prepared to test a new weapon system. At 45, Carol had spent her career developing medical technology. Now she was creating weapons that could destroy alien ships. "The disruption field is based on simple microwave technology," she explained to General Howell, who had come to observe the test. "But we've modified it using Krell's data. It should disable Imperial electronic systems without destroying our own." The test began. On a screen, they watched as a drone representing an alien ship approached a smaller drone representing an Earth defense vessel. When Carol gave the signal, the Earth drone emitted a pulse of invisible energy. The alien drone immediately lost power and dropped from the sky. "It worked perfectly," General Howell said, impressed. Carol nodded but didn't smile. "Yes, but it only works at close range. Our ships will need to get dangerously near the Imperial vessels. Our pilots understand the risks," the general replied. "They're the best we have." In orbit above Earth, those pilots were already training. Commander Jack Edwards led a squadron of newly built spacecraft that combined Earth technology with alien designs. His flagship, named Defiance, was the largest and most powerful. Again, Jack ordered as his pilots completed a formation drill. "We need to be faster." At 36, Jack had been a Navy fighter pilot before being selected to lead Earth's first space combat force. He pushed his people hard, knowing their lives would depend on these skills. "The Empire has conquered 1,000 worlds," he reminded his pilots during briefings. "But they've never met humans before." But perhaps the most important breakthrough came from someone no one expected. Kevin Parker, a 17-year-old high school student from Ohio, had been fascinated by the alien data released to the public. While other teens played games, Kevin studied the patterns in Imperial communications. Using his home computer, he created an algorithm that could predict and counter the Empire's communication systems. When he posted his work online, government agents were at his door within hours. Now Kevin worked in a special facility with the best equipment available. His algorithm became the basis for Earth's electronic warfare strategy. "I just noticed a pattern," he explained shyly when Dr. Miller asked how he had made his discovery. "It's like a rhythm that repeats. Once you know it, you can disrupt it." Dr. Miller smiled. "Sometimes the youngest eyes see what the rest of us miss." At the main EDI headquarters, General Howell reviewed the progress reports with mixed feelings. They had achieved so much in so little time. Humans had compressed centuries of technological development into months. But would it be enough? The answer came sooner than expected. A junior officer burst into the command center, his face pale. "Sir, the deep space sensors just picked up 3 large objects entering the solar system. They're heading straight for Earth." "How long?" the general asked quietly. 3 weeks at their current speed. They're moving faster than we predicted." General Howell's expression remained calm, but his hands tightened into fists. "Contact Commander Edwards. Tell him to prepare his fleet." He looked around at the suddenly silent command center. "It seems the Empire has sent scouts ahead of the main fleet. Let's show them what humanity can do." The 3 Imperial scout ships entered Earth's solar system with complete confidence. They were massive vessels, each one the size of a small city. Their hulls were dark gray with glowing red markings that showed their rank in the Imperial fleet. Inside the lead scout ship, Captain Dorv looked at the blue planet on his view screen with boredom. He had participated in dozens of conquests before. This Class 3 primitive world would be no different. "Standard approach," he ordered his crew. "Scan for defenses, though I doubt they have any worth noting." What Captain Dorv didn't know was that Earth was waiting. In Earth orbit, Commander Jack Edwards sat in the control chair of the Defiance. Around him, 20 Earth vessels waited in formation, hidden behind the moon. These ships were smaller than the Imperial scouts, but carried weapons based on Krell's designs. All vessels maintained position. Jack ordered over the secure channel. "Remember your training. Wait for my signal." The crew of the Defiance was tense but ready. They had trained for this moment for months, but nothing could fully prepare them for humanity's first space battle. On Earth, millions of people watched the sky. Special broadcasts showed the approaching alien ships, visible now as bright points of light even during the day. In a small apartment in Houston, Linda Ramirez stared at her television screen. Her husband, Joe, was aboard the Defiance as a weapons officer. Their 5-year-old daughter sat beside her, clutching a toy spaceship. "Is Daddy going to fight the bad aliens?" the little girl asked. Linda nodded, trying to keep her voice steady. "Yes, sweetie. Daddy and his friends are protecting us." Back in space, the Imperial scouts had detected the Earth vessels. "Captain, there appear to be primitive spacecraft behind the moon," an Imperial officer reported. "They seem to be armed." Captain Dorv laughed. "How quaint. They think they can fight us with their toys." He turned to his weapons officer. "Target the 2 largest vessels. Let's show them what real power looks like." The lead Imperial ship fired energy beams at Earth's hiding place. The shots were designed to destroy their targets instantly. But they never reached their targets. Commander Edwards had ordered his fleet to activate their shields at the last second. The blue energy fields based on Kyle Johnson's design flashed brightly as they absorbed the Imperial attack. "Now," Edwards shouted. "All ships, attack pattern Alpha." The Earth fleet emerged from behind the moon, moving faster than the Imperial ships expected. They split into 3 groups, each targeting 1 scout ship. The battle was fierce. 2 Earth vessels were destroyed in the first exchange, their crews lost before they could even fire, but the remaining ships pressed the attack. On the Defiance, Joe Ramirez targeted the disruption field weapon that Dr. Martinez had developed. "Disruption field charged and ready, Commander," he reported. "Fire," Edwards ordered. The invisible pulse hit the lead Imperial ship. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the scout's lights flickered and went out. Its weapons systems failed. "Direct hit," Joe shouted. "Their systems are down." The Earth fleet concentrated fire on the disabled ship. Their weapons, though primitive by Imperial standards, broke through the unpowered shields. Captain Dorv couldn't believe what was happening. "How is this possible?" he demanded as his ship shook around him. "They're primitives." His second-in-command looked equally shocked. "Sir, they're using technology similar to our own, but modified. It's like nothing we've seen before." The other 2 scout ships began to return fire more effectively. Another 3 Earth vessels were hit, exploding in bright flashes that lit up space. On Earth, Mission Control watched with a mixture of hope and horror. "We're taking heavy losses," General Howell said quietly to Helen Lee, who stood beside him. "But we're hurting them too." The battle continued for 6 hours. The lead Imperial scout ship finally exploded after taking continuous fire. The second was badly damaged and began to retreat from the solar system. But the third and smallest scout managed to evade Earth's attacks. In a surprise move, it stopped fighting and sent a message. "We surrender. Please cease fire." This was something no one had expected. An Imperial ship surrendering to primitives was unheard of. Commander Edwards approached the captured vessel cautiously. His own ship had taken heavy damage, and half his crew was injured. "Keep weapons locked on them," he ordered. This could be a trick. It wasn't a trick. The Imperial crew surrendered, and Earth had its first major victory in space. The captured scout ship would prove invaluable, providing Earth with direct access to Imperial technology. In Houston, Linda Ramirez received the call she had been praying for. Joe was alive. Injured, but alive. 2 months after the scout ship battle, Earth had prepared as much as possible. The captured Imperial vessel had provided valuable information about Imperial tactics and technology. Earth's scientists had worked day and night to improve their weapons and shields. But time had run out. The main Imperial fleet arrived suddenly, appearing from hyperspace just beyond the moon. 27 massive warships, each one 10 times larger than the scout vessels. Their dark shapes blocked out the stars as they moved into position around Earth. The largest ship, bearing the Imperial crest on its hull, positioned itself directly over New York City. The other vessels spread out to cover major cities across the planet. In the EDI command center, General Howell looked at the tactical display with a grim expression. "They're positioning for a simultaneous attack on all major population centers," he said. "Classic intimidation tactic." Earth's combined fleet of 60 modified vessels moved into defensive positions. From space, they looked tiny compared to the Imperial warships. Commander Edwards, still aboard the battle-damaged Defiance, spoke to his pilots. "We knew this day would come. We are outnumbered and outgunned, but we have something they don't expect: the will to protect our home at any cost." The Imperial transmission came exactly 1 hour after their arrival. Every television, radio, and electronic device on Earth suddenly showed the same image: a tall, humanoid alien with pale skin and elaborate armor. This was Grand Marshal Zorn, commander of the Imperial fleet. "People of Earth," he said in perfect English, his voice deep and confident, "your planet has been selected for Imperial acquisition. Your resources will serve the Empire, and your population will be relocated to work camps." Zorn's expression showed no emotion as he continued. "Your primitive defense fleet impressed our scouts. Unusual, but ultimately irrelevant. The Empire has conquered 1,000 worlds more advanced than yours." He paused, then offered what he considered generous terms. "Surrender now, and we will allow your leaders to govern your people under Imperial supervision. Resist, and we will take your world by force." The message ended, leaving a silent world waiting for a response. In the White House Situation Room, President Stephanie Howard sat with her advisors. At 53, she had never expected to lead her country during an alien invasion. "What are our real chances?" she asked General Howell, who had joined by secure video link. "The odds are against us, Madam President," he answered honestly. "But we have a few advantages they don't know about." President Howard nodded and stood up. "Prepare our response." 20 minutes later, she addressed not just America, but the entire world. Her image replaced Zorn's on screens everywhere. "Citizens of Earth," she began, her voice calm and determined. "Throughout our history, humans have faced overwhelming odds and survived. Today is no different." She looked directly into the camera. "To Grand Marshal Zorn and the Imperial fleet, I say this: we are not one of your 1,000 worlds. We are Earth." The transmission ended, and the battle began. The Imperial ships fired first, targeting Earth's orbital defense platforms. Energy beams sliced through space, destroying several platforms instantly. But then Earth revealed its secret weapon. Kevin Parker's algorithm, combined with the technology from Krell's data cube, activated a massive energy disruption field. The field expanded outward from Earth, temporarily disabling half the Imperial fleet's power systems. Now, Commander Edwards ordered. All ships attack while they're vulnerable. Earth's smaller, more agile vessels swarmed the disabled Imperial ships. They focused their fire on one warship at a time, overwhelming its defenses before moving to the next target. On Earth, people watched the battle unfold in the skies above them. Bright flashes lit up the night as ships exploded. Debris fell through the atmosphere, burning up like shooting stars. In the EDI Command Center, Helen Lee watched the tactical display with Dr. Miller. "It's working," she said with surprise. "We're actually hurting them." Dr. Miller nodded cautiously. "For now. But the disruption field won't last forever." He was right. After 30 minutes, the disabled Imperial ships began regaining power. The tide of battle started to turn. Commander Edwards saw the change immediately. They're adapting. All ships fall back to defensive positions. As Earth's fleet retreated, 3 more human vessels were destroyed. The Defiance took heavy damage but remained operational. Grand Marshal Zorn, enraged by the unexpected resistance, ordered a new tactic: target their major cities, show them the cost of defiance. Several Imperial warships moved into position to bombard Earth directly. The real test of humanity's resolve was about to begin. The battle entered its 3rd day. Both sides were tired and damaged. The Imperial fleet had lost 11 of its 27 warships, but Earth's defenses were failing. The orbital platforms were nearly all destroyed, and only 23 Earth vessels remained operational. Major cities around the world faced the threat of bombardment from space. Millions had been evacuated to underground shelters, but many more remained exposed. The Defiance, heavily damaged and barely functioning, still led Earth's remaining fleet. Commander Jack Edwards looked at the status reports with bloodshot eyes. He hadn't slept in over 50 hours. Shield generator at 12%. His second-in-command reported. Weapons systems failing. "We can maybe manage one more attack run." Jack nodded slowly. He had known this moment might come. "Contact General Howell. Tell him I'm implementing Plan Omega." On Earth, Dr. Alan Miller and Dr. Olivia Carter had made a breakthrough. In the underground bunker where they had been working nonstop, they finally decoded the last piece of Krell's data. "It's a signal pattern," Olivia said, her hands shaking with excitement and exhaustion. "If transmitted on the right frequency, it would reach other enemies of the Empire." Alan looked at the data and understood immediately. Krell didn't just give us technology to fight. He gave us a way to call for help. They rushed to share their discovery with General Howell, who was coordinating Earth's remaining defenses. "Can you send this signal?" the general asked. "Our main transmitters have been destroyed," Alan explained. "We need to get much closer to space to broadcast with enough power." The general's face was grim. "Our ships are all engaged in battle. None can break away." "Then we'll need to go ourselves," Olivia said firmly. Within an hour, 2 volunteer pilots, Frank Rivera and Diane Nelson, prepared to fly a modified shuttle carrying the transmitter through the battlefield. It was a near-suicide mission, but they understood the stakes. "Our job is simple," Frank told Diane as they prepared for launch. "Get high enough to send the signal, then get back if we can." Diane nodded. At 32, she had been a commercial pilot before the invasion. "For Earth," she said simply. As their shuttle launched, the final phase of the battle began. Commander Edwards had brought the Defiance on a direct course toward the Imperial flagship, Grand Marshal Zorn's vessel. "All remaining power to engines," he ordered. "Disable the collision safeguards." His crew understood what was happening. They were going to ram the Imperial flagship. In space, the shuttle carrying Frank and Diane weaved through debris and weapons fire. Imperial fighters noticed them and gave chase. "We need another minute," Diane shouted as she piloted the shuttle through evasive maneuvers. "The transmitter is almost ready." Frank worked frantically at the controls. "Almost there. Just a few more seconds." At that moment, the Defiance smashed into the side of the Imperial flagship. The explosion was massive, lighting up space like a new star. The impact severely damaged the flagship's weapon systems and command center. In the confusion, the shuttle reached its broadcast position. Frank activated the transmitter. A signal unlike any humans had created before pulsed outward, traveling faster than light through channels only the Empire was supposed to know about. "Signal sent," Frank called out triumphantly. Their celebration was short-lived. Imperial fighters found them and opened fire. The shuttle exploded in a bright flash, its mission complete, but at the ultimate cost. On the damaged Imperial flagship, Grand Marshal Zorn raged at his officers. "Destroy that planet now. All remaining ships, full bombardment." But before the order could be carried out, new ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. These weren't Imperial reinforcements. Their designs were different, sleeker, with blue and green markings instead of red. "Sir," an Imperial officer said in a shaking voice, "those are ships from the Arcturian Rebellion, and those others are from the Centauri Alliance. They're all enemies of the Empire." Zorn's face showed fear for the first time. How did they find us? How did they know to come here? The rebel ships moved quickly, engaging the remaining Imperial vessels. Messages were sent to Earth. "Stand firm, friends. You are not alone." Caught between Earth's desperate defense and the arrival of rebel forces, Grand Marshal Zorn made the only choice he could. "All Imperial vessels, retreat," he ordered. "Return to Imperial space immediately." As the remaining Imperial ships fled the solar system, Earth realized that the galaxy was far more complex than they had imagined, filled with potential allies who had also suffered under Imperial rule.